We have with us today the star of the new film Turtle Fuckers, Jake Turtlefucker. Sorry, is that your real name?
Oh, yeah. Coincidence that I had that name before I got the part in this movie.
What the
yeah,
fuck is this, bro?
Film. Yeah, that's really incredible. This
Welcome
film
to Turtle
is really
Fuckers.
turning a lot of eyes. A lot of people are really into it. It's winning a lot of awards. How do you feel about all that?
I mean, honestly, for me, I mostly just was excited to fuck the turtles.
You just wanted to fuck the turtles, huh? And it wasn't even about the money or the fame for you.
That's right. It was only about fucking the turtles.
Welcome to my web series. I'm Daskys, and this is where I jump between old and new games to answer the burning question, is it worth it? Today on the cutting block, High on Life. From the creators of Trover Saves the Universe, Gravity Falls, and Rick and Morty comes a truly unique experience. Feeling like a mostly improvised script, High on Life breaks the mold of what we expect from a comedy game. From being witty and ironic to downright being stupid, the comedy in this game is very different. If you've watched any episodes of Rick and Morty, you have an idea of what to expect, what's coming in, and what's going to happen. If you haven't, check out a video that I'm going to put inside the description showing you an improvised court case that they did. It's really funny and I really enjoy it, and that style of comedy really translates well into a video game, especially when you have these segments where you're waiting for a character to say something or to finish what they were saying. The story is a simple yet wacky premise. Aliens attack Earth and take over to collect all the humans to be later distributed as drugs. Yes, apparently we could be smoked in space. You play as a nameless, voiceless character, smack down in the epicenter of where this invasion starts. You meet an alien Gatlian named Kenny. Kenny serves as the driving force of the story, constantly talking and providing you clues and hints, guiding you in the right direction. A little before you know it, as the story progresses, you become a space bounty hunter, hunting down the G9 and killing all their heads, basically like a hit list, taking one by one down, getting a new weapon with every single iteration, and new access to different areas and areas you've already been in. Personally, any game that makes me backtrack kind of annoys the ever-living shit out of me, but it's okay. It's not needed. You could choose to do so if you really want to. I just want to talk about the gameplay here because this is a big part of the game and you will have to wrestle with this thing more often than not. This game does not have mechanics that are up to par with industry standards within shooters. It feels clunky, it feels floaty, everything doesn't feel good when you shoot them, and to be honest with you, it doesn't work well. It's just enough to be able to say, yeah, it's fine, but more often than not, you're getting annoyed at little tiny issues here or there, or your crosshair doesn't really work too well, or the ability just gets stuck. It's good in moments and bad. It has its charm, but it doesn't do it for me. Now, this game is really funny, and I enjoyed the jokes, and I thought it was actually well written for what it is, because it's supposed to feel very improvised. But there's a lot of issues with the actual pacing of the game itself, and they make it very hard to care for the actual story. Now, don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed this game for the time that I played it. I just found that after a while, once you get that 2-3 hour mark, they just don't give you a rest period to be able to say, okay, that was really funny, and then things get back to normal. You are constantly bombarded by joke after joke after joke after edgy character or annoying noise or a funny voice actor. After a while, you no longer care for all this stuff, and it becomes like, yeah, it's expected. You're gonna say something funny, or you're gonna sound really stupid, or whatever they end up writing the character as. This is where a game like South Park ends up coming off very different than the way this one does, because South Park gives you the time where you're just playing the game and the mechanics are good enough that doesn't have to be carried by jokes. That's the issue here. This game is hardcore carried by its comedy, but mechanically it is not a very good shooter. And because of that, people need something to entice them, and they knew that when they were writing this. There's no way they didn't. Why would they make it so heavy and so over the top all the time? And that's this game's biggest issue. The biggest issue is that it needs to be funny, otherwise you'll see the faults in its actual gameplay. For the 5 hours I played this game, I want it to be abundantly clear that I had no glitches, no interruptions. The game played perfectly and well the whole entire time. Not only this, but it didn't like chomp up my CPU. It seemed to be a good port. So I want it to be abundantly clear, even though I say all those things before, that this is a good port and the game runs well. Not only this, but there's a lot of unique interactions. You have to go looking for it a little bit, and you have to search, but once you land on something, it could be really funny. I'm gonna roll a clip, and it's gonna be probably the best way to explain the comedy that's in this game without actually playing through the whole thing.
So, Have you caught anything?
No, never have, never will. No fish can live down here in this sludge.
Then why are you fishing?
Fish in there. Why are you fishing? What is that?
Bro.
What's going on?
Because I'm still working up the courage to drown myself.
Yikes! Wow. Okay. TMI maybe a little bit.
I'm still working up the courage to drown myself. Not only this, but they also put full movies inside of this game. So like you go watch a movie from start to finish, or even better, some advertisements on the screens while you're walking around that are absolutely hilarious and took up so much of my playthrough time that I probably spent more time in front of those screens than actually playing. Now, for those who know, because if you know, you know, Horny Geriatrics was the funniest thing I've ever seen in probably most games I've ever played. So now that I've told you about the good and bad, and you have a good example of what the good is in here, I want to show you the actual price points of where this game is coming in and how much it actually costs and whether or not it's worth it. High on Life is actually retailing for a price of $68.99 Canadian. Much like the actual title, you'd have to be high to pay that price for this game. Now, would I pay for the Xbox Pass? Yeah, probably. The Xbox Pass has a ton of games, and not only would you get access to this one, you'd get access to a bunch of other ones. But I want to bring up how much I would pay to own this game. I wouldn't pay grotesque amounts, I wouldn't go out of my way to do this payment. I would pay something that seems fair, considering the fact that the game is not an absurdly long game, and I think that it's kind of lackluster. I think a fair price would be anywhere between $20 to $30. At a 50% rate of whatever it's at right now, I feel that that's fair. For all the things that it does well, there's a counterpoint saying something negative. Though I believe this game will be a cult classic and there will be a ton of people and probably a lot that will not like my opinion, I will tell you this. It is a move in the right direction, and I'm anticipating to see what the next game from Squash Games will be. Hopefully, it's not going to be an absolute jumbled up mess of comedy, and it actually will have core mechanics that are playable, similar to South Park, where it's funny and also a good game. This is yet another episode of Is It Worth It? My name is Daskys, and I hope you enjoyed it. For the most part, if you want to be a part of the recording process, click my Twitch link below. It was a pleasure, all the best, never change, watch out for strangers, and look both ways are crossing a street, and yeah, I love you, you beautiful bastards.